Compass FM, the widest music variety for North Canterbury. You know, we have a heck of a lot of fun being on the radio for North Canterbury, and we love having various voices of North Canterbury come on into the studio and have a bit of a chat with us as well. Theresa Evans from Citizens Advice Bureau. Welcome into Compass FM. Welcome back to Compass FM.
Thank you, Marina.
It's actually really, really good to see you here because we're talking off air just before, and I shared with you advice that I'm giving to my kids and others as well, and that is that, oh, look, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to your question, but do you know who does? And it is the Citizens Advice. If you don't know the answer, you go away and find out and contact them again, don't you?
We do, yep.
It's an amazing service that you've been doing, and it is it's coming up the 50th birthday. Is that 50th anniversary?
That's correct, yes. Citizens Advice Bureau nationally is celebrating 50 years of service in Aotearoa, New Zealand. North Canterbury's been going for around 42, 43 years.
How long have you been involved in North
I've been involved for 16 years, 10 as a volunteer and 5, probably coming up 6 as the coordinator.
Well, thanks very much for doing what you do. Seriously, it's really, really good. Can you tell us briefly a bit of history of the CAB?
Right, well, it had its roots in wartime England, and CABs were established on the eve of Second World War to help people. There were issues around dislocation, trauma, and just the complexity that war brings. And initially, CABs were places that people could go to for help, tracing missing relatives in bombed areas or learning about all of the new wartime rules and regulations that were put in place, and which the general public were expected to know and observe. But the need for CAB didn't diminish once the war ended, and things were changing in society with the growth of bureaucracy and rules around things, complexity. So by peacetime, the CAB had become an essential community service, and it's evolved really into what we do now, which is helping people learn about their rights and obligations, and also how to use the information to good effect to get the best outcomes.
No question is a dumb question, is it?
No, that's correct. Anything. It can be as simple as a phone number for a new business to a very complex family situation or tenancy or employment. We're not experts, but we know how to research and where to find information.
And training is given to those who volunteer.
Yes,
we'll get into the volunteer thing in just a moment. 50 years of service in New Zealand. It means, look, there must be countless hours of advice to the public that you've given out.
We do. I suppose if we counted them up, there would be thousands. We provide information, as I said, on anything. And to celebrate 50 years, we've used our annual Awareness Week, which is next week, the 8th to the 14th of March, and we're using that really to promote our organisation, the work we do, and to pay tribute to the many volunteers over all of those years who have put service in. One of our former volunteers here actually was the national president of Citizens Advice for the country and is a life member of that organisation. And we have several life members of our own who have put in many years' service.
Locals?
Yes, all local people.
What's their names?
Al Kitto is the person who was the former president of CAB nationally. She was also our trainer, a specialist in consumer affairs that we could call on. And I can't remember all of the others, so I don't want to say one and leave the others out. But Al particularly was a national president.
And I put you on the spot there, and I didn't mean to do that there.
It's okay.
Hey, look, this is a voluntary service, isn't it? It's free, trustworthy, obviously confidential.
Of course. When people come in, we take time to listen. We ensure that people get information they want. We don't take names, phone numbers, except if we have to call people back.
Yes.
The only time we'll take a name is if a person is registering for our legal clinic, and because we ring back the day before just to make sure they want the appointment. There are only 6 appointments once a fortnight, and they're usually booked up well ahead. So we'd like to make sure if someone's not going to turn up, if we have someone on the wait list, we can make sure they get what they need.
Absolutely. That's a really, really good thing. So you obviously run on volunteers, the volunteers, and you're on a bit of a volunteer recruitment drive?
We are. I think I've said to you before that after the the gap and coronavirus, a number of our older volunteers decided to retire. So we normally run only one intake a year, but we're going to be doing 2 this year, and advertisements will be in local media over the next few weeks, with applications closing on the 1st of April, and training will begin on the 4th of May and go through to the 25th of May.
Okay, how long is someone expected to volunteer for?
Well,
for a couple of things. Time-wise, as far as hours during the week or month, and for once you're in there, it can go on for years, couldn't it?
It can. The minimum we require is 2.5 hours a week. It can be 4 weeks in a month, but we will make a concession for 3. Mm-hmm. We ask a lot of our volunteers. They're asked to join a team, so it could be learning and development, it could be Migrant Connect, working with our migrant community, it could be publicity, promotions, that sort of thing. They also mentor new volunteers as they come in. We have a board, so we have an elected board with an AGM once a year. And in terms of how long people stay, we have had people over 25-30 years.
Wow.
And we have people at the moment that are not far behind me in terms of length, some that have done 14-15 years, and we have others in the middle, 7-8 years, but it seems to get in people's blood.
I was going to say, it seems that once you start, it's a good thing. It's a great feeling helping people, isn't it?
It is. With us, though, because of the anonymity, we don't always hear an outcome. So sometimes we're left wondering, and maybe sometimes we'll say, if you care to, please let us know how you got on. Yeah. And sometimes people do that off their own bat, which is always pleased to hear. We had one chap who had difficulty, and he came and saw 2 volunteers. He rang up a week or so later, after being armed with all the information they gave him. He went, sorted things out, and he asked us to pass on thanks to his golden girls.
Yeah, golden girl. That's absolutely fantastic. A 50th anniversary coming up in New Zealand very soon. 42 years here in North Canterbury helping out the locals. This is absolutely amazing. Citizens Advice Bureau, Theresa, thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
Very quickly, again, the first intake is going to run over the next couple of weeks, with applications closing the 1st of April if you want to volunteer. Training beginning on the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. And again, on the 25th of May, a second training intake coming up, or hopefully coming up in August this year. Well done. Thanks so much. You represent the Citizens Advice Bureau incredibly well, Theresa. I very much appreciate you coming in.
Thank you. Ngā mihi.
Theresa Evans, Citizens Advice Bureau.
Compass FM.